All right, Larry Krueger here from Levi's Stadium for the Pig and a Pickle Krueg Show with a little recap of everything that happened in Niner Land on this Wednesday down in Santa Clara. Well, interesting day for sure. This is the beginning of a new season. 49ers are hoping that it's a turnaround. And we'll get into all the things that happened today. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Call Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. He's also a great follow on the gram, as the kids like to say, Sharp Corners 831 on the IG. All right, let's talk about the Niners and all the different things that happened down here. First, some accounting. There were some new numbers. And if you're down here, the Niner players oftentimes change their numbers from minicamp to training camp. And sure enough, we have some number changes. So take note of this. Evan Anderson is now wearing 58. Equinemius St. Brown, the receiver they just signed, is wearing number 7. 58 for Anderson, 7 for St. Brown. Malik Knowles is now wearing number 3. Chaz Surratt is wearing 46. And Drew Moss and Sebastian Valdez are both wearing number 55. That's one of those things you see early in camp. Guys share numbers, especially one on offense, one on defense. All right, what jumped out today at practice? Well, first of all, the story of the day was going to be John Lynch yesterday said that Jauan Jennings was going to practice and that he showed up and that they've met, they talked. They love JJ. He didn't commit to getting anything done contractually with him, but he said, we expect him to practice. And he was asked about it again, and he's like, hey, he just kind of reiterated, we love JJ, and we expect all of our players to practice. So was Jauan Jennings going to practice today? Because it was, he was either going to hold out or he wanted to be traded. He wants a new contract. But he showed up, and he didn't hold out, and he didn't hold in. He just showed up, and he practiced. So what does it mean? I think it probably bodes well for JJ potentially getting a contract extension from the Niners. I think he might be able to get a short-term extension. They really do love him. He's a culture player. He's a very important player for them. They're kind of leveraged at wide receiver. I don't think they want to extend him. I think they would be more than happy to let him play out the year at $7.5 million and be a free agent at the end of the year and maybe get paid a lot at the end of the year. But he is one of the 3 or 4 guys that I could see them taking care of. And the fact that he came today, was in great shape, showed up like a pro's pro, and just practiced, I think probably helps his efforts to get some kind of a contract extension done. McKivitz also practiced today. Both those guys showed up. They're free agents at the end of the year, and they have contracts. I mean, to some degree, you could say, hey, look, they just did what they're supposed to do, right? Because they're under contract. But we all know that pro football is a little bit more complicated than that. But Jennings and McKivitz both showed today. Now, the big story of the day outside of that was that Niners receiver Jacob Cowing, who's in a pivotal camp, suffered some form of a hamstring injury. And now I didn't see it. It might have been in stretch or right after stretch or early in practice. I didn't actually see the play where he hurt the hamstring, but it's a setback for Cowing, who's trying desperately to make this football team. That's going to open up opportunities for other receivers, including Jordan Watkins. And I thought Watkins really looked good today at practice, the rookie from Ole Miss. He is not overwhelmed on a pro football field because he played at Ole Miss, and there's so much talent at Ole Miss. And I think Watkins looks like a very precocious young player who might be able to step in and help right away. Equinemius St. Brown was out there for the first time. Didn't look like a whole lot. I mean, I got to be honest, he looked like a camp body. He's a big guy who runs a great 40 for a big guy, sub 4.5, and he will block. There's worse receivers, but this is the older of the St. Brown trio of brothers, Osiris, and obviously the superstar in the family is Amon-Ra. Equinemius will block. He's tough. He's got decent speed. Looked a little winded as the practice went on today. But that's one thing that kind of stood out is they definitely seemed a little overwhelmed, I thought, as the practice went on from Equinemius. Dee Winters was the star of practice today. He had a play where he picked off Brock Purdy and ran it back for a touchdown, I guess. But Dee Winters looked really fast and explosive. I think Dee Winters looks fantastic. He looks like a guy who's showed up this summer to win a job. He looked fantastic. Jason Pinnock also had an interception to Purdy. It was a ball that it looked like it was tipped in the air, but I think Purdy may have pulled it back at the last second. It had a really weird trajectory. Pinnock picked it out of the air. A couple other guys that stood out. Mason Pline really looks faster than he looked a year ago, and to me, noticeably faster. I think Pline, and Dwelly, who's in camp with the Niners, definitely put on some bad weight. If you look at Ross Dwelly, he was a much quicker athlete a couple years ago. He looks like he's got some extra weight on him. I think Pline is going to wind up beating out Tongas and Willis and Dwelly for that third tight end spot. Today, Pline looked amazing. Fast. Really, I thought he showed great speed. I mean, that's the fastest I've seen Pline look. He looked good, and he's been training with Kittle, and it really showed. Mason Pline, I think, is going to make one of the biggest steps forward from last year to this year. The biggest day of the day, I thought, was Demarcus Robinson. He caught balls from Mordecai. He caught balls from Mac Jones. He caught balls from Purdy. He caught balls on the sidelines. He caught balls in the middle of the field. I'd say I counted at least 4 catches on the day. He looks good. This guy knows how to play man coverage. He knows how to position his body. He's an underrated player. He scored 7 touchdowns last year on a team that had Puka and Kupp. That was an underrated signing by the 49ers. I have not talked as much about it as I probably should have. But just watching Demarcus Robinson, it's clear he's going to make a big impact. He is going to make a big impact. I'll go as far as to say it, and I really do believe this. I'm not trying to say anything negative about JJ or Cowing or Watkins or any of these other guys. Demarcus Robinson, I think, is going to wind up being the Niners' most productive wide receiver this year. I really think he's going to produce right away. Mikael Williams ran with the ones at defensive end. That was great to see. Mikael, looks fantastic as an athlete. He's in great shape. He was bouncing around on the practice field, but he's running with the ones. They're going to try to force feed some of those young defensive linemen. We got to see Alfred Collins today, and Collins really moves great for a man that size. One of the people in my Twitter mentions said he looks like Reggie White. Well, I don't know if he's Reggie White, but he moves exceptionally well, and he looks really good. I'm eager to see what Collins looks like in the preseason. Upton Stout had a near interception today on a play where he broke on the ball. Stout looks fantastic. I think Stout looks like the kind of guy that might be able to start right away. If there was going to be one, there was a question. Somebody asked, who's this year's Dom Pooney, who's just going to step in day one, take the starting job, and not look back? It's going to be Upton Stout. He's going to take that nickel spot, and he's not going to look back. Pearsall looked good working out today, but he worked out on a side field. I thought Tanner Mordecai had several really nice passes today. He's got good zip on the ball. I thought Purdy got great zip on the ball today. Isaac Guerrero had a couple of runs where he looked exceptionally fast and balanced. He looks like he's going to have a bust-out year. So a lot of good things today in practice. The big negative, Jacob Cowing's hamstring pull. The story of the day is that Jennings and McKivitz showed up and practiced. If there was the biggest positive of the day offensively, I'd say it was Demarcus Robinson. If I'm saying the biggest playmaker of the day defensively, I'm going to give that to Dee Winters. Overall, it was a good practice. Nobody got hurt. Good weather, and we'll be back out here tomorrow to talk more about it. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueg Show. Thanks to Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krueg Show on YouTube.